The rain had started just before sunset, a slow, persistent drizzle that softened the edges of Portland's east side streets. By nightfall, it had become a steady curtain, turning the glow of traffic lights into red and green halos that shimmered across puddles. People hurried beneath umbrellas, the sound of water and rubber soles composing an accidental symphony against the pavement. No one noticed when Anna Reyes stepped out of the side door of St. Brigitte's Church around 9 p.m. She had just finished accompanying a children's choir for their autumn recital. Witnesses remembered her calm smile, the way she tucked her long dark hair under a wool cap and folded sheet music into a scuffed leather satchel before unlocking her bicycle. She wore a charcoal pea coat, black jeans, and a pair of soft leather gloves. Under the amber street lamp, her reflection rippled across the wet pavement. That was the last confirmed sighting of her alive. By midnight, her older brother Lucas Reyes had called police. Anna was punctual to a falter life, a sequence of small, predictable rituals. She taught piano to neighborhood kids 6 days a week, bought groceries every Friday at the same co-op, attended church without fail on Sundays. She lived alone in a second-floor apartment on Hawthorne Boulevard, neat to the point of obsession. Books out, plants trimmed, dishes dried and stacked by size. When Sadine T answered her phone, Lucas drove through the downpour, dread tightening around his ribs. Her windows were dark. Her cat pressed its face to the glass, mewling. The door was locked. Everything inside appeared undisturbed, the metronome still ticking faintly atop the upright piano. At dawn, a jogger spotted a bicycle leaning against the stone gateway of Laurelhurst Park, half a mile from the church. Its seat glistened with rain. The front wheel was turned slightly inward, as if it had been placed rather than dropped. There were no scratches, no signs of struggle, just a bicycle, waiting in the gray light of morning. Detective Michael Ward, 15 years in homicide, arrived before sunrise. The park was deserted except for the whisper of rain through maples and the click of his camera shutter. He circled the perimeter twice. No footprints, no torn fabric, and no drag marks. Only the faint smell of wet earth and the faint hum of distant traffic. When daylight came, he stood staring at the bicycle. It was ordinary, the kind ridden by thousands of Portlanders, yet something about its careful positioning bothered him. He felt the same unease he'd once felt walking into a room where music had just stopped playing. By that afternoon, Anna's parents sat in the precinct's small conference room, their faces pale with sleeplessness. Her mother, Maria, clutched a framed photos from Anna's college recital. Anna, poised over piano keys, head slightly tilted, lost in concentration. Her father, Roberto, sat rigid, jaw muscles working. Lucas spoke for them all, voice shaking. No, she had no enemies. No, she hadn't been seeing anyone. No, there were no arguments, no sudden changes. She's careful, he said, predictably. That's why we're worried. The investigation mobilized fast. Patrol units canvassed the church, nearby coffee shops, bus stops. Flyers went up across the east side by evening. Her students' parents formed volunteer groups to search the park. Divers dragged the pond. Dogs worked the wooded trails in neat grids. Nothing. The bicycle was impounded and dusted. Only Anna's prints, no foreign DNA. Tires showed normal wear. It looked almost lovingly maintained. Ward interviewed everyone who had seen her that night. The organist, the priest, parents from the recital. Each told the same story. She'd left alone, heading toward her usual route home. Rain blurred the evidence. Time erased what the rain missed. Anna Reyes was 33 when she disappeared. She had grown up in a suburb outside Portland, the middle of 3 children in a quiet, devout family. Her father was an accountant, her mother a retired librarian. Piano had been her refuge since childhood, the one place she could be loud without raising her voice. By 16, she was performing at regional competitions. By 20, she was teaching private lessons out of her parents' basement. After earning her degree in music education at Oregon State, she moved into the city, renting the modest apartment on Hawthorne, where she'd lived ever since. Her habits bordered on ritual. Up at 6, scales until 6:30. Tea with honey and toast, lessons starting at 9. She cycled everywhere. Eben, in winter, Friends joked she was born in the wrong century. Students adored her calm patience. She could coax confidence out of the shyest child. On Sundays, she volunteered at nursing homes, playing old standards for residents who sometimes cried without knowing why. But in the weeks before she vanished, subtle cracks appeared. Lucas recalled dinner in late September. Cow tie in her kitchen, rain on the windows. She'd grown distracted, gaze drifting toward the street. "I keep thinking someone's following me," she had said, then laughed it off. "I'm just being paranoid." A colleague at the Portland Conservatory of Music noticed she'd skipped the last 2 faculty gatherings. "Tired," Anna had said. "Too many lessons." Her neighbor, an elderly widow named Patricia Norris, later told police she had seen Anna on the balcony late one night, barefoot, staring down at the empty street as if searching for someone. Detective Ward wrote it all down. The fragments hinted at a pattern he couldn't yet see. Phone records showed nothing strange at first calls to family, students, the conservatory. But then came 3 outgoing calls to an unlisted number in the west side of the city. When traced, it led to a payphone outside a small grocery on Burnside Street. No surveillance camera, no witnesses. He searched her apartment again. Bills paid, calendar full, half-finished letter on her desk to a college friend. Practiced Debussy. Rain again. Restless. Her bank and credit card activity were normal. The last purchase had been a biography of composer Clara Schumann from a downtown bookstore. The clerk remembered her as polite, quiet, the city. Rallied, flyers, plastered lampposts, storefronts, bus shelters. Candlelight vigils glowed in the drizzle. The words "Missingana Reyes" became part of the city's wallpaper. But as October turned to November, leads dried up. The rain kept falling.